Welcome to episode 17 of Ship of the Week. This week we return to a time when the world still seemed vast, and even as great monuments of steam and steel rose and electric lights blossomed in cities, regions of the world lurked largely unexplored, and swaths of the map bore gaps where the knowledge of cartographers reached its end. The economic engines of the East and West were by the late 19th century churning with great enthusiasm, and many of the northern European maritime nations were still hoping for a more efficient route north above Eurasia, rather than sailing all the way around through the Suez Canal and across the Indian Ocean, which was an enormous inconvenience. Navigators had for centuries dreamt of such a route, but the inhospitable conditions of the Northern Ocean literally crushed such ambitions. In 1877, explorer Adolf Erik Nordenskjöld appeared before King Oscar II of Sweden with a detailed plan for an expedition that would complete the Northeast Passage for the first time. The king granted his approval, and the 150-foot whaler SS Vega, launched in Bremerhaven in 1872, was selected as the expedition flagship. She would be joined for a part of the trip by the smaller steamer Lena. Nordenskjöld would lead the expedition, but Vega herself would be under the command of Captain Adolf Polander, another skilled Arctic navigator. An extensive multinational team of experts, officers, and men would undertake the journey, including the ship's sailing master, Giacomo Bove, a marine botanist to study regional algae, Franz Kielman, a meteorologist, Andreas Hofgaard, and a zoologist that doubled as a Russian interpreter, Oskar Nordquist, among many others. The two ships departed the Swedish naval station at Karlskrona in June of 1878, stopping in Norway a month later. Vega left Lena behind in August as the smaller ship departed for Yakutsk, Russia, and during the heart of summer in this part of the world, very little of the sea ice ever clears, leaving Vega to tiptoe through frigid gaps in the floes that could rapidly crush the ship. The expedition passed the Siberian Preobrazhenia island during this period, which this sketch, depicting their view of the barren, rocky protrusion, shows just how inhospitable these places truly were. Vega's halting eastward progress ceased entirely on September 28, 1878, not far from where the sea opens up at the Bering Sea, and there she sat, stuck fast, and where she would remain for the winter. The crew's isolation gave the scientists time to observe and interact with the local indigenous Chukchi people, seen here in various canoes with Vega in the background. A mostly nomadic culture, the frame structure of a Yaranga portable home of typical Chukchi construction is seen in this sketch by sailing master Giacomo Bove. A mixture of shipboard chores, research, and recreation kept the crew occupied during this time. This photo shows a portion of the expedition crew aboard Vega while on the ice in early 1879. And shipboard companions likely made the long winter more bearable. Expedition Commander Nordenskjöld gazes eastward toward his goal during the long icebound months in this Johann Rosen painting. Vega and her crew remained stuck fast until August 1879, when the sea cleared enough for them to proceed. Rather than turn back and take the newly completed Northeast Passage home, they steered south to make repairs in Japan, where several months of work on the ship and reprovisioning took place, allowing the crew to experience some of Japan as well. This image of a Japanese bathhouse is by one of the crewmen, Olaf Sorling, evidently in an attempt to imitate local art styles. I forgot to mention, the image of the Chukchi canoes was his as well. After passing through the Suez Canal, the ship stopped at Naples in February 1880, where they received a raucous welcome, depicted here, and they eventually arrived home in Stockholm on April 28, 1880, to a hero's welcome complete with fireworks. Many objects collected by the scientists during the journey were given pride of place in an exhibition at the Royal Palace in Stockholm. and Vega holds the distinction as the first ship to complete the Northeast Passage successfully, and also happens to be the first to circumnavigate the whole of Eurasia. Vega herself returned to whaling following the expedition, eventually reported lost off the western coast of Greenland by her Scottish owners in 1903. Her precise fate is unknown.